everybody, and welcome to Lights, Camera, Exploitation, your guide to exploitive cinema. This is your host with the motherfucking most, TJ Bowser, and joining me is my doppelganger, Kangabanga from Down Under, Mr. Brody Kane.
Howdy, my mother lickers.
We do not got a third wheel today. Matt pulled out last minute, and yesterday's recording got lost, so we're here back for take 2 of 1984's Razorback. But first, you know what time it is. It's time for your slice of life. Brody Kane, what did you do, brother?
Well, like I say every week, mate, work. It's basically Groundhog Day down here. Although I actually wanted to treat myself with some Blu-rays this week. So I bought from 88 Films, Scarecrows from 1988. An absolute classic.
Yes.
Definitely one of my favorite, kind of slasher flicks. And also, not to mention, I did happen to buy Jeepers Creepers, the first one on Blu-ray.
Yes.
Especially with all this hype from the new one that's been coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm very excited to see what the new film brings to the table, especially being a new director and all. But yeah, other than that, nothing much with me, mate. Same old, same old. What about yourself, Mr. Bowser?
Well, the same as you. I got some new Blu-rays today. I got the Jaws 4K, American Psycho 4K, and I got next week's episode, which I'll announce a little early, which is Green Room.
Ooh,
and then my big old Vinegar Syndrome order finally came in, and that included the 4K Beastmaster, 1992's Hellmaster, Body Melt, Forgotten Jolly Volume 1, The Corruption of Chris Miller, Night Beast, and their February package that included Forgotten Jolly 3, The Fear, and Hitcher in the Dark.
Ooh, I like The Fear. That's an old nostalgia classic for me.
I hope that we do Hitcher in the Dark on the show at some point by Umberto Lenzi, only because you love The Hitcher so much, and to see an Italian version of that and to show you that and to see a reaction would just be legit.
Yeah, I would actually watch that in a heartbeat. To be honest, I love that road games type of film. So
yes, sir.
Bring it on.
Absolutely. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming at you over at ProjectLouder.net, your source for pop culture, and so much more. But onward and upward with today's show. And that is about 1984's Razorback, directed by Russel Mulcahy. He also directed Highlander in 1986, Rambo 3 in 1988, Silent Trigger in 1996, and Resident Evil Extinction in 2007. Brody, you have something to say about the Rambo?
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was a part of that film until we dug up a little information about him. But I just wanted to mention the Rambo 3 thing because obviously it caught me off guard that Russell directed. But I found out that due to creative differences between the producers, Stallone and Mulcahy himself, there was just 2 weeks of extreme tension on set, and he threw the towel in and states that on an interview with Daily High News that at the time, I was also approached by Dino De Laurentiis for Total Recall. But when Sly called me to offer the film to me, I responded like a fan to his idol and immediately said yes without thinking. So all these creative differences between the producers and Sly, didn't really work for Mulcahy, and basically threw the towel in a heartbeat. But I really would have loved to have seen what he brought to the table in that film. I think there's actually 20 minutes of footage of his work in Rambo still. Yeah, in Rambo. So,
Look for the shots that have the extra nice cinematography.
or a dream sequence.
Yes. Fucking A. So, writers Everett D. Roche, right?
Yep.
Who is known for 1978's Patrick, 1978's Long Weekend, 1981's Road Games, and 2007's Storm Warning.
Woo! All 4 classic films right there. You got the first 3 that Tarantino highly praised, and Storm Warning is definitely one that flew under the radar for so many. If you're a fan of the director's work that I think it's Jamie Blanks that did Valentine, Urban Legend. Yeah, he created Storm Warning. So definitely a little doozy for y'all to suss out.
Cinematographer Dean Semler, who did 1981's The Road Warrior and then won an Oscar in 1990 for his work on Dances with Wolves, and of course 1993's Last Action Hero and 1995's The Waterworld. Watch the producer's cut. Cha-cha-cha! Music by Iva Davies, lead singer of Icehouse, which Brody tells me is very big down there.
That is correct, mate.
Yes.
Absolute bangers.
He also worked on Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World in 2003, and then he lended some tracks here to various films. Modern Girls in 1986, the song No Promises. Young Einstein in 1988, the song Great Southern Land. And of course, 1996's Space Jam with the song Wild. This had a budget of 5.5 million Australian dollars. And let's get into this cast. Starring Gregory Harrison as Carl Winters. You may know him from Fraternity Row in 1977 or North Shore in 1987. Cadillac Girls in 1993. Archie Whiteley as Sarah Cameron from 1981's The Road Warrior, Scandal in 1989, and A Dinner of Herbs in 2000. The legendary Bill Kerr as Jake Cullen. He's best known for his work in Gallipoli from 1981, The Pirate Movie in 1982, and Peter Pan in 2003. Chris Haywood as Benny Baker. He's known for his work in 1988's The First Kangaroo, Tom Selleck's 1990s fucking hit, Quigley Down Under, and 1997's Kiss or Kill. And of course, David Argue as Dicko Baker. Shout out to Glenn Cochran. That's your best mate. Gallipoli, 1981. BMX Bandits in 1983. And Roadkill in 2010. Judy Morris as Beth Winters. She did The Picture Show in 1977. And then she goes on to write Babe Pig in the City in 1988. And then goes on to write Happy Feet 2006. And the sequel. Fucking A. John Howard as Danny. His work includes 1980's The Club, Young Einstein in 1988, and to finish this off, Mad Max Fury Road from 2015.
Ooh, not a bad little resume there.
So, let's have the Aussie read the plot rundown.
All right. A wild, vicious pig terrorizes the Australian outback. The first victim is a small child who is killed. The child's granddad is brought to trial for killing the child but acquitted. The next victim is an American TV journalist. Her husband Carl gets there and starts to search for the truth. The local inhabitants won't really help him, but he is joined by a hunter and a female farmer to find the beast.
Now, this motherfucker actually won some awards now, didn't it, Brody?
That it did. The Australian, was it Film and Television Awards?
Something like that. The AACTA Awards in 1984. That is an anagram that Brody looked up yesterday. We'll get that to you here in a little bit. But it was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Score, and Best Production Design, and Best Sound. But it won Best Cinematography and Best Editing. And then also that same year, Dean Semler won Cinematographer of the Year from the Australian Cinematographers Society, and the Avoriaz Fantastic Film Festival nominated it for its grand prize.
Very nice indeed. Cleaning up.
Fucking A. So, Brody, you know what time it is?
Oh, I know what time it is.
Let's get
physical!
Okay, so the definitive release, we're going to say it here, is the Umbrella Entertainment release from August 1st, 2018, and it includes a 1080p transfer. Audio is the DTS HD 5.1, and it includes an audio commentary with director Russel Mulcahy and Shane Armstrong, audio interview with actor Gregory Harrison, Jaws on Trotter featuring interviews with Russel Mulcahy, producer Hal McElroy, Razorback creator Bob McCarran, composer Iva Davies, cast Judy Morris and Chris Haywood. Extended interviews with cast and crew from Mark Hartley's Not Quite Hollywood. Terrific doco.
Absolutely.
A certain piggish nature, looking back at Razorback, what the fuck? Grizzly deleted scenes with new optional audio commentary, and Razorback, the VHS cut, the original uncut 4:3 Australian home video version. Brody loves it.
I can't stress it enough. If you're going to watch it, check this out for the gore, violence, yeah, it's great. It looks like shit,
yeah.
But if you want that sweet, sweet violence, treat yourselves.
Yes. Also includes the theatrical trailer, VHS trailer, and image gallery. Okay, Brody, some additional information. What do we got, brother?
Well, I didn't realise this, but it was adapted from a 1981 novel by Peter Brennan. So Peter Brennan, I couldn't really find too much information on, but he was an American journalist that just happened to write Razorback. Director Russel Mulcahy woke up extremely early for the first day of the shoot, went up into the hills, threw up and said, "Christ, what the hell am I bloody doing?" Now, he never states why, but personally, I believe it was due to the fact that of the pressure of time, money involved on the film shoots, compared to music videos, and especially that they don't really need a narrative, and translating the direction of directing professional actors with a story to tell on a bigger scale of production. There's just so much difference in between a music video and an actual theatrical film. Producer Hal McElroy states that less is more, and Jaws was a prime example of that. We took a leaf out of Spielberg's book because there's a lesson there for us. It's more mysterious, more threatening, and more interesting if we see less of it.
Yeah, and I think that definitely lended to the effectiveness of this film, especially the pig scenes.
Absolutely. But I even think, like, as we spoke about behind the scenes, like the story structure of this film is basically Jaws on land.
Yeah, with some stuff rearranged.
Pretty much.
And the explosion at the end stopped by a 2x4.
Russel Mulcahy wanted Jeff Bridges for the lead role, but producer Hal McElroy didn't think that he was a big enough star, to which McElroy states, "I believe at the time the distributors, Warner Brothers, said no." So he was pretty quick to handball that then. Mm-hmm. The first time that the Razorback was introduced on set was the scene where Judy Morris, aka Beth Winters, mm-hmm. is sitting in her car after the attack on her by the Baker brothers. This terrified her and the crew, to which they made up a dummy of her for the Razorback to tear into and eat her. Upon filming this scene, the whole cast and crew were absolutely shocked to see the realism of one being eaten by an extremely large Razorback. During the editing, most of this scene ended up on the floor. However, as we spoke before about the uncut version, if you watch that, you will see much of the gore and effects, to which, as I said, I highly recommend you should.
Fucking A.
Rob McCarran designed the extremely huge Razorback as an animatronic, to which his inspiration for the design was to travel to the zoo, look at rhinos and Razorback pigs. We don't have Razorback pigs at the zoo. I'll state that now. If you want Razorback pigs, you go out in the bush and you sort that out. But upon collaborating with director Russel Mulcahy, he states that, "I love the design. However, I probably should have made it grungier and more decayed, just due to the fact that it looked a little too furry for my liking." Rob McCarran also states that if I was to remake the film today, I'd probably make him a little bit more mutated and maybe suffer from a few more diseases, which would have made Russell a very happy man in hindsight. There were 6 pigs designs on set for different camera shots, some including the silhouetted pig made from soft rubber and polystyrene foam for long distance shots, the head, obviously for close-up shots, which was mounted to a trolley with 8 people standing behind it to operate its mechanics. The full beast for wide shots, mm-hmm. the ramming pig made from solid steel with fur on it for dolly tracks, the catapult ramming pig, which was the same design, but it could be propelled.
Ran through the house at the beginning.
Yeah. For the SFX department, and the infamous running pig that cost a whopping $250,000 dues to make, but only to never work and show up in one scene for a measly 1 second.
And I don't think we have it in the notes, but there is a scene where we see the Razorback walk up on the hill, and it's the world's biggest pig at the time, but it's like a normal farm pig, and they put a giant, and what they did was they put it to sleep, and they casted a giant suit to put on this pig, and then they also casted its teeth and made dental implants. So they dressed this actual pig up, and had it walk. So there's one scene where you see it, and that's the scene where she's looking through the viewfinder or the picture thing, the camera, and she sees it up in the horizon, and that's an actual pig with full Razorback get up.
Fucking hell. And that's actually really fucking effective and cool
It
shot.
is.
It actually, it looks
It
so
looks like
real.
a fucking Razorback. It's the only way that's going to be achievable at this time to make it look like a natural fucking animal's doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that would have made more sense. Yeah. The extremely beautiful and exceptionally talented Archie Whiteley, who plays Sarah, did not want to do the outside nude scene,
Ooh.
to which Russel Mulcahy said to SFX designer Rob McCarran, "You have 1 week to convince her, mate." Rob states that upon talking to Archie that the day of filming, he had let it slip that he'd seen the model to replace her, to which Archie asked him, "What was she like?" Rob's response was, "She had a lovely body, but there was a problem," to which he then walked out of the trailer. Archie rushed out and asked him, "What was the problem?" He responded to say that there was too much cellulite on the bum. Archie immediately chose to do the scene.
Fucking A.
I just loved how Russell was like to the SFX designer. You can talk to her about that. That's in your, you can sort all that out.
He's too busy puking on hills, bro.
The dream sequence was a huge chance for Mulcahy to eat up with his visual creativity, that in some of the shots of extreme color tones and textual patterns, pieces of painted glass was shown from the camera to create a wild Australiana wasteland that even had Steven Spielberg ring him up and ask how he achieved some of the effects in the dream sequence. However, Russell hung up on Spielberg thinking it was a prank call, only to have Spielberg call Russell again and convince him that he was the real deal.
And that was because of the moons, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, I think that's just no, that is during the dream sequence.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
Now, is that a horse that chases him? Is that the skeleton of a horse that comes out?
Yeah. Firstly, we see it on the side, then it comes out of the ground.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's fucking wild. That's such a standout scene. I love rubber reality scenes, and they were like super hot around this time. But it's crazy because this is before Nightmare on Elm Street, so this is pretty nightmarish. Before nightmarish was cool, you know.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a few directors around the world and see if actually Razorback inspired them. Just different directors.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting.
That scene is absolutely. Are you ready for it? Exquisite. That's what that scene is,
mate. Absolutely, 110%. The original cut of the film was graphically violent, that most of the scenes ended up on the floor, which Mulcahy states they toned the film down, to which definitely hurt the film. There's even one scene where Bill Kerr gets his face chewed off by the Razorback.
So cool.
Which is probably, easily the best death scene in this fucking film. It's great.
Yeah, I love it. It's like sucking chicken skin off a drumstick.
That's
the best way to
and he's
describe
like still
it.
looking at the it's so good, and the way his eyeball is still looking at the camera as he's just sitting there screaming with no face.
And we mentioned earlier in the notes that Warner Brothers was constantly meddling and stuff already, and this is again one of their doings, that they were constantly turning in scenes for approval and stuff, and that they were getting either cut back and stuff. And it's, it happens all the time in film, especially whenever you're somebody like this, who's like a first time feature film director, and a lot of your funding is coming from an outside source, especially in another country. You tend to be at the discretion of what they want, especially the producers in this situation, especially somebody as big as Warner Brothers in the 80s. This is, okay. As much as I'm shitting on them right now, I'm happy that the VHS cut exists in some form, so we always have that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And to Umbrella Entertainment for releasing that, we thank you so much.
I hope that that same negative that they used to scan for this Blu-ray, if that it was a negative, we weren't privy to the information on the Blu-ray that it was a 35 negative or anything like that. But if it was, if we could get a possible 4K release in the future from like Imprint Films, that would be the gold right there. This film, with the film grain fined out and color correction done, would just look fantastic.
Absolutely. It's even if you don't like the story or whatever about the film, you gotta give it to the film that it's a fucking amazing cinematography experience.
Hmm.
Like the visuals of this film, as I said, yeah, if you don't like the film, you're gonna have to appreciate the fact that this film looks amazing. So
Oh, it's
imagine what a
so easy
4K
on the
release
eyes.
could do. Oh, it's so sexy. It's smooth. I love it.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, Brody, what's your favorite performance of the film?
Oh, well, I'm gonna have to go with Jake, Bill
Yes.
Kerr. He just, due to the fact that we really sympathise for his character from that beautifully shot and devastating opening scene. Um, I've never really heard of Bill Kerr before until this film, and my God, he just delivers a powerhouse performance. And he drives the film into enemy territory,
Mhm.
but he just chews through each scene that he's in. He just chews it all up. And to be honest, I would have been happy with just the Jake movie by himself. But however, like I do love the direction that Mulcahy took this film into, like with all the different personalities of Australia and that sort of tie into one little story. So yeah, no, Jake, that'd be Jake for me, mate. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, so I will also agree with you and say Jake. I think the scene, and I'll mention it later, where he is in like the watering hole and it's all muddy and stuff, and then Dicko and the boys, what's his brother's name? Benny. They
Benny, yep.
cut up his knees so he can't walk anymore, and he kind of has to really do a lot of physically laboring things. And we see Bill really turn out a very awesome performance here. You really can feel it and see it on his face, the pain that he's going through. And I think that all the way leading up to the end, which is a very Quint-like death, may I say, is just so cool. His storyline as a whole is really cool. Again, just like Quint, I think that Bill Kerr is just really, really awesome. And then secondly, I will have to say Dicko. In another opposite side of the performance, he's absolutely bonkers, off his fucking noggin. And I think that even in the documentary included on this, the guy who plays Benny says that he should have played Captain Jack Sparrow, because it's just the same thing that he has that Johnny Depp has, that just gives them that creativity and that will give them that edge to portraying these characters. And I think that that's absolutely right. Not on maybe don't I don't agree that he should play Jack Sparrow, but I think that this guy has something and he has it, whatever the fuck that is.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that was my second choice, mainly due for the reason that he was just batshit crazy, and also I never mentioned it's on that documentary is the fact that the director would tell David to do his lines with Bill Kerr in some scenes, and he would just sort of ad lib and
Yep.
go off track. And
Bill would be like, "What
Bill
the
was
fuck?"
actually, yeah, what the fuck? What are you doing, mate? And he was just sort of like the balls on him to do that, But I think he was sort of trying out Russell being a first time director, and David obviously been in a few films before it. So yeah, no, David definitely brings that, as you said, batshit crazy performance, and that's what Russell did very well with his characters here. He hit basically on the head of what there's a shit ton of those Australian blokes down here that act exactly like him, and I think that's what Russell did so well with this film.
And we see this formula replicated in films to come years in the past. I mean, we've mentioned Body Melt, Death Warmed Up. Like this redneck Aussie type thing is just, these guys perfected it, even if they might have even started it, but it's definitely influenced work later on.
Absolutely. It wouldn't be an Australian horror film without a mutated son of a bitch in it, or not to mention you get double the trouble in this film, the two brothers.
That'd be a hell of a countdown. Top 5 favorite Aussie mutant families.
Yeah, that's actually, I might look into that. That sounds actually, that could be something we could end up doing for future content, mate. That'd be cool.
Go. We're actually, I will say this right now, little sidebar. Brody actually wanted to do a couple sidebars this episode, so let's do it. Brody and I are working on this little thing where we play a bunch of trailers of movies that we saw and we kind of talk about them. And it's mostly films that exist within a subgenre. So like slashers, supernatural, giallo, stuff like that, different things within horror or even action, comedy, stuff like that, where we just go through and we talk over these trailers, Mystery Science Theater 3000 style, and kind of give you all the information, little quick rundowns within the little 2 or 3 minute time frame that we have. I think that would be fun. I think it would be a cool way to do long form content and also do some video content as well. Brody?
Absolutely. When TJ pitched this idea to me, I was definitely down for it. I think it's a great idea. There's going to be a lot of swearing in on my end. I'll be just getting frustrated left, right, and center trying to, think of something to say about a 2-minute trailer. But no, I think it's going to be great. It's going to. We hope you enjoy it. It's going to be a doozy.
Fucking A. Okay, so next question is favorite set piece.
Oh, that's a tough one because there's a couple in here, but I'd have to go with Pet Pack.
Yes.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Just such a dark and downright gritty mess that
shower, mate.
You can smell it through the TV. You can smell it. Yeah. Then just actually a little fun fact, they actually used real sheep carcasses carved as kangaroos.
Yummy.
And, oh my God, that smell. Left there for they left them there filming for a couple of days, to which some of the crew members got sick. So a nasty. Not only was it a bloody fun time on set, but it was actually like a real kangaroo slaughterhouse. So yeah, I'd have to go with Pet Pack just for that reason in itself.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the same thing. I think Pet Pack is just absolutely filthy. I think that it's in the same way that like the Sawyer family house feels, or even some what else could we compare the feeling of this to? I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna say Sawyer's house. That's pretty much on point. It's fucking gross, and I also like this movie. I will say my second choice is the Outback. This movie utilizes fog a lot. And like even in the doc, they say that like it was just crazy just to even see the fog and the amount that they did in order to create some of these shots. And you see a lot of steam and fog within the Pet Pack facility, which kind of adds to the aura and the atmosphere within it because there's so much going on. It's almost like this chaos every time you're in there, mixed amongst all these rotting corpses and even more terrifying people and these chains hanging down. Again, you get that hardcore Sawyer vibes because there's bodies everywhere. It's crazy. And, a lot of the scenes that we see shot within the Pet Pack facility are shot really well. And I think that it shows you so much of it. But by the time that you're done watching the movie, you kind of feel like you've been there. And I think that that's what makes it so effective. And, the cinematography it doesn't even really need to be said that, of the Outback is beautiful. Anytime you put film to the Outback, it's going to look fucking great. Now you put Russel Mulcahy on film in the Outback, motherfucker, you got a recipe for something really, really tasty, and that's what this is. So,
absolutely. I will go back and just mention when Dicko and Benny meet Carl for the first time and you see Dicko scraping out all the guts and blood and all that shit. You really feel it, really smell it.
Want to give him a hand?
And welcome to Pet Pack, and he's eating a fucking sanger. He's eating a sandwich. Oh, my God.
Fucking A. So, brother, favorite scene / shot?
I'd have to go with Jake and Carl talking about the Razorbacks in that little shack. It's just extremely well lit, especially through the boards of the little shack. And it's a scene that really showcases Bill Kerr, as I said before, chewing up the scene with incredible and believable performances. Like, if it's not the dialogue, it's definitely his physical persona, and especially in his actions, in his expressions, like his face. Whenever he's not speaking, you definitely feel for his.
He puts off a lot of big dick energy.
Absolutely, yeah. He just powers through this movie. Like I said, I just would have been happy with a Jake movie as by himself, but. Yeah, I'd have to.
But if you take this character archetype, it's always good. Duke, Creighton Duke from Jason Goes to Hell. Quint.
Absolutely.
This guy. Like,
Yep.
fucking right. Like, it's
But it definitely hits you for six when you see him like get taken out like in
yeah.
the third act.
And that's the whole, like, that character. If the movie's good, they do that character justice. Like I said, Creighton Duke. You want to draw comparisons to Bill Kerr's character in this film of Creighton Duke, is that they both have something happen to their family. Now they're hell bent on searching to find this uh animal or this thing, and then he finally finds it, even though it ends up being the destruction of him. He he goes down swinging. And I think that that's the whole point of these characters, is these big strong male characters, and then they finally obliterate it, almost kind of like the whole Moby Dick whale thing going on. So
Absolutely, and even the actions to his death, it just goes to show you that, like, like basically the Razorback. Uh,
Razorback
well,
don't care.
that's right. Yeah, he don't care, but we are basically represented as a monster ourselves. But
Mhm.
like we see some of ourselves as the monster and the animal and creature type thing. So I thought that was pretty cool how they played that off. Just
Mhm.
the two different styles of that. Yeah. What about yourself, mate?
Oh, so the whole pig watering hole scene, I think, is like really cool, and then having it end with the death of Jake Cullen is absolutely fucking cool. And yeah, I just think it's such an effective scene, and the way it's shot and framed is just really really well. And I love the shots of like the establishing shots of the various settings. It's so cool. Everything's so cool. I love like the pit, that one shot of during the chase scenes of all the pits, and knowing that those are from opal mines, and that's why that they're there. And it's like, oh, it's not here, so I'm gonna go 2 feet and dig. Oh, it's not here, I'm gonna go 2 feet and dig. And it just creates this really interesting and fun landscape that we get to see an awesome chase sequence through. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, all this can be lended back to Mr. Semler and Mulkey, because they do some great work.
Absolutely. Bloody oath.
Another one of my favorite scenes actually was another Jaws comparison, actually, would be that scene where the guy's sitting there and he's watching television, and it's actually a callback to a previous scene where you see a guy sitting there watching television, a bunch of ruckus goes on, and you see the Razorback eat a bunch of meat out of his cellar, right?
Yep. Out of his pen out the back.
Yeah. And then he chains, like, puts up this whole contraption and like this net and chains and stuff, and then for some reason it's attached to the corner of his house. And again, the Jaws comparison here, kind of like that scene where he puts the holiday roast in the water, and it takes half the dock, and he's like, what the fuck. The Razorback takes half his fucking house, and the TV continues to play as it gets ripped off into the night, into the outback.
Oh, yeah, it's just those comedic elements that break up the movie, and I think that was a perfect example of it. Even if we go to the scene where they're all at the pub waiting there with guns,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
for the Razorback, and they all run out, jump in their cars, and take off down the road, and his car's bloody gone. Someone's nicked his car, and then he
The
has to
camel
jump on the
comes out
fucking
of
camel.
nowhere. It's like, it's in frame. He's like, follow my car. Dude, is that the same camel that we see drinking out of the bar earlier?
I'd like to say it is, yeah.
Yeah,
Especially, I think it was even when that bloke's on the camel with the boombox as well. I think that's all the same one. Yeah,
that's fucking rad. That is, that whole thing is so like Tremorsy, right? You know, it's like Walter Chang's fucking Perfection Valley type thing. Like it's so wild because like, I wonder, if that's like a whole real town or some of it's set. It makes you want to, yeah.
no, that's a real town. That
It's
pub is real.
it's all
Yeah,
real.
you can actually go there. It's got the Mad Max 2 car out the front.
Oh, is the town the same name? Is that, or is that made up?
I think it's actually called Silvertown, Silverton, or
Okay.
something. Yeah, it's in New South Wales, west of Sydney.
Yeah.
I think it's Broken Hill. Broken Hill is the area, but yeah, that's right where they shot Mad Max 2. So
Yeah.
you'll see the Ford Interceptor out the front of the pub if you go there today.
And that scene, you know, you mentioned where everybody's sitting there, and then they're at the pub, and then like they have the scanner, the tracker thing. That's almost like the scene where you see all the boaters and Jaws when they go out. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's got all the good stuff. It's got all the good stuff. You gotta love
That
it.
would have been an interesting conversation between Mulcahy and Spielberg,
Yeah,
comparing the pair of films.
right. So you took all my best parts and you put it down under and rearranged, right?
Pretty much.
Favorite effect / death, Brita Kane.
Well, I keep mentioning Jake. I keep bringing him up.
Yes.
But that whole water pump shed scene, it just builds all of that tension up to deliver an awesome payoff.
Okay.
Just by having the Razorback not only like smash through the shed, but just chewing Jake's face off like it's intense, downright disturbing, and it's fucking glorious. What can I say? I can't stress this enough. You check out the deleted gore scenes or perhaps the VH version for nostalgia fix. You will not be disappointed. But yeah, even the aftermath scene.
The Italian like throwback with the like the bugs in the eyes and stuff. It's so gnarly. Like it should have been in there. You know what I mean, man?
Absolutely. I love how it's all in a matter of like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Up and all of a sudden he's just got like creatures.
But I think that they do those types of things to really like put into you like this. The Outback is not a safe place.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You aren't safe down here. Don't come down this way.
There's a couple different scenes that I want to mention for this one. And like we said, the face rip scene and then the VHS footage and stuff. So the other one I want to mention is the scene of Beth Winter's character whenever she gets eaten in the car. I think that is just absolutely gratuitous and nasty and fucking gory as hell, especially when you see her getting lifted up and bounced and repeatedly slammed against the roof of the car. And whenever you watch the extended scene of that as well, which actually was removed because the tusk looked too phallic. So like every other producers in the US at this time, they were removing things that remotely looked like penises. But if you watch the normal version, you see a little bit more stuff go on in that car. And it's a little bit more than just her getting that little dramatic drag at the end. It's cool. It's really rad. And then, of course, Dicko's death, which is completely hacked to hell in the theatrical version. If you go back and watch the VHS cut, it is done really, really well. So pretty much he gets pushed up against the wall, and for some reason he thought it was a good idea to put his foot inside the Razorback's mouth for some sort of leverage. That then gives the Razorback leverage to do whatever the fuck he wants to him. So Dicko's gets ripped apart and shit. That's a really cool death as well. So I just wanted to mention all three of those because so much cooler stuff if you go watch that other cut.
Absolutely. It was so satisfying to see that motherfucker get eaten though.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the end of the film, I had enough of his shit.
Dicko was a dick.
That's right. He was a piece of shit. And as I said, Russell did so well with these characters. Like you actually really hated this motherfucker. So
yes, absolutely. So what's your thoughts on story, man?
Well, yeah, having it, as I've told you numerous times, like it is my favorite Australian horror film. And overall, I think, yeah, obviously it's an incredible film. It definitely serves its purpose as not only a horror film, but it represents these different personalities of the 80s Australian culture.
Uh-huh.
You know, that was a huge thing that Mulcahy not only got right, but he needed to get that right. And the attention to detail with the outback and the characters, as I've said, felt believable. It was a film that was a way ahead of its time, especially in Australian cinema.
Save that. Save it for the next one.
Okay. yeah. As I said, overall, I think it's great. I honestly, I think this took it to the next level down this way.
Fucking A.
What about yourself, mate?
I think the story, like we said, constantly drawing comparison to Jaws and other films. I think that these characters are lovable, likable, rememberable. Most importantly, like other films of this genre. Well, not like many films of this genre, because it's pretty hit or miss, huh? With these creature features like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially with the characters, it's so hard to nail a memorable character. And I think Bill Kerr's character is just awesome. The Peter Cullen thing. Is that what his name is?
Is it Bill Kerr?
Bill Kerr is
Jake,
what's his fucking
Jake
Cullen.
Cullen.
Peter Cullen
Yeah.
is fucking Twilight. What am I fucking thinking? Yeah. I think there's a 4K of that coming out soon. Of all those movies.
I might
Yeah, I know
go
you're
buy
excited for him,
Twilight.
bud. So, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Stop telling our listeners that.
Brody was totally hashtag Team Edward. I mean,
Fucking, I'm looking forward for the Batman. I don't care what anyone says. I think he's going to bring something special. So,
absolutely, dude. Me too. I'm excited for that as well. It's always cool to see a new take on something that we love so much.
absolutely. As long as he makes it his own Batman.
And by the time we do our next episode, the Snyder Cut will be out.
Ooh, goddamn.
Yeah, buddy.
Hopefully I get that down this
Did you
way.
see the tease today?
No, I didn't.
They showed Darkseid's like death laser beam, like the weird, yeah.
Shit's gonna go down.
It's gonna go down. So back to Razorback. Yeah, thoughts on story, man? I think it's just fucking fantastic, and it's definitely one of the better ones. Thank you for showing me this, and thank you for nominating it for the show.
No worries. I couldn't stress this enough for anyone to watch. And I'm glad you got to finally watch it because I've been hassling you for so long. So it was a good opportunity to chuck it on the show.
Fucking A. Impact and takeaways.
Yeah, I think as I was going to say before, like it was a way ahead of its time, especially in Australian cinema. Just due to that incredible cinematography. I think Mulcahy just come off shooting music videos with Queen or Elton John, Duran, all these high-profile bands and that. So, yeah, it basically took Australian cinema to great lengths, I find, after this. It's an intriguing look into the outback. And by basically, it flips Jaws, the story of Jaws on its head, and you put a monster or a creature on land. But I'm
kind of sad we don't have a cool name for the pig like we do Bruce.
It sucks.
We need to name the pig on the show and sell shirts with the pig's name.
Some LCE merch.
Yeah, fucking A. We'll get on that soon, guys. So let us know if you want it.
Yeah. Oh, the one thing I really, really like about this is that there's when you really want to break down the story, there's basically three groups of people. You got your publicans, you've got Jake's crew, and then you got the Baker brothers. But the Razorback has all these situations and events and impacts that it ties them all together by the time the credit rolls. So, and it's that undertone of like that we are all the same, like the creatures and the humans, animals, whatever. We are all the same, and in the case, it's us being hunted for once in this scenario, and the Baker brothers are represented as these monsters. I actually think they're the real villains of the film by the time the credits roll. That's what I really took away from this film, and I think Mulcahy did a great job.
Okay, so Impact, having a guy like you said who isn't used to shooting this style of film before, and then having him go in fucking just balls deep and prove himself on a feature film in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's incredible. He pulled off something really cool, and he managed to prove himself, which led to a career and some really cool films, honestly. So kudos to whoever gave him that shot. I think that this paved the way for many Aussie directors to come and inspired lots of people. It's really cool, and I think that it showed that you can do a lot with a little. So, and I only say that because even though they had a bigger budget, a lot of it went to the pig.
Absolutely. For one measly second.
Yeah. Some takeaways from the film. I think that the Baker brothers are absolutely terrifying, and that even the pig takes a back seat to them in some scenes. They're absolutely terrifying. Their portrayal of those characters is so on point, and sometimes you almost like lose track of what they're doing on screen because they're just everywhere and so far out there. But they always manage to somehow reel you back in, and it all makes sense. And it's really rad. Even those scenes whenever we're inside their little den and stuff, and Dicko shoots the fucking hanging bird that's stuffed there. It's just all crazy, but it's all in an effort to spook them a little bit. And That it's really, really, really fucking rad. And I do we didn't mention the kangaroo hunting scene during this review, but I do want to mention that like him sleeping on the dead kangaroo is so Star Wars. And then that little weird thing that happens afterwards. It's such a rad film. It's such a unique film, and I think that like I said, it had to inspire some of the crazier nightmare stuff that happened afterwards, because some of the stuff
Yep.
that goes on, it's really trippy, and I love it. I absolutely love this film.
Even the transition scenes, like there's a couple of transition scenes there in the edit, like
Yes,
where Dicko shoots the stubby on the road and then it cuts to the bus. It's just so simple and yet so effective.
the door
Yep.
opening, and then the oil pump.
Yep.
That's really cool too. There's just so much cool stuff, and I think it's because, again, these people who are so used to doing something completely different were able to take that medium and have have it on a bigger scale. And like even Mulkey said, like a lot of people didn't question him. It was the same type of situation that he dealt with whenever he shot his music videos, that he just kind of did, and nobody really questioned it. And of course, here he did, and then fucking Warner Brothers did whatever they wanted afterwards. So that's what we got here.
Yep. Overall, though, it still looks great.
Yes.
And I think that's what he was really aiming for. If it's going to be a weak story, at least it's going to look fucking fantastic.
Motherfucking fruitly, brother. Okay, so rating. How many giant bloodthirsty hogs is this worthy, Brody?
Well, where to begin? I'm going to have to give it a 4.7.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 4.25. That is a lights, camera, exploitation score of 4.5 giant, bloody, thirsty hogs out of 5.
Ooh, not bad indeed.
Yeah, that's not bad at all for 1984's Razorback. Next week, Slick Nick will be back, joining us for The Green Room, which is his pick, featuring Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, Professor Xavier, all the good stuff. Brody, talk about that film.
Yeah, well, I think it's a film that was produced by A24, and it was definitely one of those ones that took me by surprise when I first watched it. The violence in this film is so realistic. I can't praise this film enough. I think it's fucking one of the best in the last 10 years. And it also has the late, great Anton Yelchin. Is it Anton
Yes,
Yelchin?
the guy from Star Trek that sadly passed away due to that Jeep malfunction.
Yes, that's correct. So please tune in for next week's episode because it's going to be a bloody doozy.
Yeah, fucking A. I'm excited. I've never seen the film. I actually just got it in today. So I probably will be watching it sometime next week before we record again. Shout out to Paul Ashford for recording with us yesterday, even though the voices didn't pick up properly. He is from Ghoulies Unflushed, who is one of the podcasts over on the Project Louder podcasting network. Speaking of that, we are a proud member of Project Louder, home to such podcasts as the Big Bad Beetle Bros, which is a podcast that goes through episode by episode of the TV show from the 90s, The Big Bad Beetle Borgs. It's an absolute crazy ride and a show, and I highly recommend it. Bonehead Weekly, those are the newest additions to the Project Louder family. Those are 3 dudes that sit around and talk about movies. Box Office Banner, that's a Facebook and YouTube show. Those are 4 dudes that sit around and talk about movies as well, but in a definitely completely different format. It's fun. Comics and Kaijus, hosted by Matt Sterling and Austin Albin, and the double chin kaijin himself, Cameron Miller. That is a show where they review giant monster movies from other countries and comic books of all sorts. And then, of course, we have Ghoulies Unflushed, which is your unofficial Ghoulies podcast, hosted by Graham Leneve Painter, the world-famous author, and, of course, our very own lovely Paul Ashford. And, of course, Goran Moore, hosted by myself, Chad, Chrisman, Big Johnny D, and Bobby Amone. And guesting every week is our very own doppelganger, Kangabanga, Mr. Brody Kane.
Yo, 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 yo. Yours truly.
Yes. Fucking A. Then Steve's Somewhat Supernatural podcast. That is just a fun little one there. That is, every podcast network has to have a supernatural one, and we got the best one. So, yeah, fucking A. Then we got the TJ Bowser Power Hour. It's where I do all my interviews and stuff. Got to get that booted back up again. It's been focused too much on stuff. And, of course, Wrestling Ruined, talking about the worst years of wrestling each and every month. Every other week, I think they're releasing an episode. Yeah, it's cool stuff, guys. Go check it out over on projectlouder.net and anywhere else you listen to audio-only content, whether that be Apple, Spotify, Google Play, or Audible. I appreciate you listening to this podcast. Brody, I think that's it.
Yes, and it was a very fun episode, Mr. Bowser. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good time, and I'm so happy that we were able to get this done and get it done right. A load of stress taken off my back, especially having equipment malfunction the way it did, and then us having, not being able to have that third host there. But I think we did manage to pull one off.
Absolutely. And these things happen at the end of the day, so we can't really kick ourselves down too much. So
yeah,
it's a good time, mate.
So
awesome.
We will see you guys next week on the next episode of Lights, Camera, Exploitation. This is your host with the motherfucking most, signing off.
This is your DKB all the way from down under saying, bye-bye.